Alors, bonsoir. Bienvenue à la séance du conseil municipal du 23 février 2026. Good evening. Welcome to the Municipal Council meeting of February 23rd, 2026. Premier point, ouverture de la séance.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Je propose l'ouverture de la séance.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur?
Oui.
Je déclare la séance ouverte à 20h02. Point 3, l'ordre du jour. Adoption de l'ordre du jour.
Je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du 23 février 2026 tel que ci-après modifié en remplaçant le titre du point 13A par le suivant: nomination permanente opérateur d'appareils motorisés classe A.
Je l'appuie.
All in favor?
Yes.
Oui.
Point 4, approbation des procès-verbaux.
Monsieur le maire, je propose d'approuver les procès-verbaux des séances du conseil tenues aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire du 26 janvier 2026, séance spéciale du 9 février 2026.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur? All in favor?
Oui.
Okay. Point 5, correspondence. City of Côte-Saint-Luc, resolution, support for free Iran and to the Iranian diaspora. On February 19, 2026, the Assistant City Clerk forwarded a resolution adopted on February 16 by the City Council, by which it stood solidarity with the Iranian people in their pursuit of freedom, dignity, and a society governed by the rule of law. Point 6, rapport du maire, report of the mayor. Intersection Ainslie-Westminster. Lundi dernier, un malheureux incident s'est produit à l'angle du chemin Ainslie et de l'avenue Westminster. 2 élèves ont été blessés et heureusement, leurs blessures ont été considérées comme mineures. Comme municipalité, nous sommes préoccupés par la sécurité de cette intersection. Les 2 accidents survenus en 2024 et la semaine dernière démontrent qu'il y a encore des risques quotidiens. La Ville a agi rapidement. En moins de 48 heures, 2 nouveaux arrêts ont été ajoutés au milieu de la voie pour rendre l'arrêt obligatoire plus visible. Le Conseil et la Ville évaluent d'autres solutions d'aménagement qui pourront être mises en œuvre ce printemps. Nous poursuivons aussi nos discussions avec l'Académie Montréal-Ouest, le SPVM et le gouvernement du Québec pour sécuriser cette intersection et trouver des solutions conjointes et pérennes. Nous rappelons aux automobilistes l'importance de respecter la signalisation et aux élèves de rester vigilants et attentifs. La sécurité de cette intersection est l'affaire de tous. Last Monday, an unfortunate accident occurred at the corner of Ainslie Road and Westminster Avenue. 2 students were injured, but fortunately, their injuries were considered minor. As a municipality, we are concerned about the safety of this intersection. The 2 accidents that occurred in 2024 and last week demonstrate that they are still daily risks. The town acted quickly. In less than 48 hours, 2 new stop signs were added in the middle of the road to make the mandatory stop sign more visible. Council and the town are evaluating other design solutions that could be implemented in the spring. We are continuing our discussion with Royal West Academy, the SPVM, the Governor of Quebec to make this intersection safer and find joint long-term solutions. We remind motorists of the importance of respecting traffic signs and students to remain vigilant and attentive. The safety of this intersection is everyone's responsibility. Bilan de la panne d'électricité. Dans les semaines qui ont suivi la panne, nous avons eu plusieurs rencontres de rétroaction avec la mairesse de Montréal, le Centre de coordination des mesures d'urgence, le CIUS du Centre-Ouest de l'île de Montréal, le SPVM et Désiré McGraw. Le 9 février, la Ville a organisé une séance d'information visant à faire un retour sur les événements survenus le 24 et 25 janvier 2026, en lien avec le contexte météorologique de froid extrême combiné à une panne majeure d'Hydro-Québec, dans le secteur nord de la Ville de Montréal-Ouest. Cela a permis de présenter les mesures d'urgence mises en place et recueillir les questions, commentaires et avis des citoyens. Entre-temps, Hydro-Québec a annoncé qu'elle intensifie ses travaux préparatoires et lance la construction du poste électrique de Côte-Saint-Luc. Ce projet majeur permettra d'améliorer la qualité du service et d'augmenter la capacité du réseau de notre secteur. Enfin, ce vendredi aura lieu la grande rencontre de bilan avec Hydro-Québec, avec les maires de Montréal-Ouest, Côte-Saint-Luc, Amstead et Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. In the weeks following the outage, we held several feedback meetings with the Mayor of Montreal, the Emergency Measures Coordination Center, the CIUS West Central Montreal, the SPVN, and Désiré McGraw. On February 9th, the town organized an information session to review the events of January 24th and 25th, related to the extreme cold combined with a major Hydro-Quebec outage in the northern sector of Montreal-Ouest. This session provided an opportunity to present the emergency measures implemented and gather questions, comments, and feedback from residents. Meanwhile, Hydro-Quebec has announced the intensification of their preparatory work and the launch of the construction of the Côte-Saint-Luc electrical substation. This major project will improve service quality and increase network capacity in our area. Finally, this Friday will take place a major debriefing with Hydro-Quebec with the mayors of Montréal-Ouest, Côte-Saint-Luc, Amsterdam, and Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. Centre sportif et récréatif, le 1er février avait lieu la première partie de hockey d'une des équipes des Knights de Montréal-Ouest Amsterdam. J'ai participé à la mise au jeu protocolaire de notre magnifique nouveau centre sportif et récréatif. Les enfants étaient bien excités et les gradins remplis à cette occasion. Depuis l'ouverture, il y a beaucoup d'enthousiasme et de fierté, tant pour les résidents, les familles, les donateurs, les élus que les employés. On February 1st, the first hockey game of one of Montreal-West Amsterdam Knights teams took place. I participated in the ceremonial puck drop at our magnificent new sports and recreation center. The children were very excited and the stands were full. Since the opening, there has been a great deal of enthusiasm and pride amongst residents, families, donors, elected officials, and employees. Rencontres politiques. Dans le dernier mois, j'ai participé avec les conseillers à plusieurs rencontres et activités avec des partenaires tels le Rotary Club pour discuter de paramètres d'occupation de location de salle de l'Hôtel de Ville, le CPKC pour discuter notamment de déneigement, de vitesse, de sécurité, le Centre consultatif des relations juives et israéliennes pour discuter de sensibilisation aux enjeux qui affectent la communauté juive montréalaise et la Bibliothèque publique de Montréal-Ouest à l'occasion de la soirée de remerciement aux donateurs de la bibliothèque. In the past month, I've participated with the councillors in several meetings and activities with partners such as the Rotary Club to discuss occupancy and rental parameters for the town hall rooms, CPKC to discuss, among other things, snow removal on tracks, speed and safety, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs to discuss raising awareness of issues affecting the Montreal Jewish community, and the Montreal-West Public Library on the occasion of the Library Donor Appreciation Evening. Communauté métropolitaine de Montréal, CMM, avec les élus des municipalités du Grand Montréal siégeant au conseil et aux commissions de la communauté métropolitaine de Montréal, nous nous sommes rencontrés dans les derniers jours pour discuter des priorités sur lesquelles nous travaillerons dans les prochaines années pour bien aligner notre vision commune du territoire. J'ai aussi participé au discours inaugural de la présidente de la CMM, Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, qui présenta les grandes priorités, soit l'habitation, le développement économique, le transport collectif et l'adaptation du territoire. With elected officials from Greater Montreal municipalities serving the council and committees of the Montreal metropolitan community, we met to discuss the priorities we will work on in the coming years to align our shared vision for the region. I also participated in the inaugural address by the president of CMM, Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, who presented the key priorities: housing, economic development, public transit, and adaptation and resilience of the territory. Enfin, nouveau comité citoyen de Montréal-Ouest. Le conseil municipal met en place, tel qu'annoncé, des comités pour bénéficier de la part des citoyens dans la mise en œuvre de sa planification stratégique. Les citoyens intéressés pourront poser leur candidature sur le site web de la Ville entre le 24 février et le 27 mars. La composition des comités sera adoptée au mois d'avril et les travaux pourront débuter dès le printemps. The Town Council is establishing committees to benefit from citizens' input in the implementation of its strategic plan. Interested citizens can apply on the town's website between February 24th and March 27th. These committees will be composed in April, and their work will begin in the spring. Table de concertation de Montréal-Ouest. Cette table, présidée par le maire, réunit les organismes communautaires locaux qui desservent le territoire de Montréal-Ouest. Les représentants désignés siègent à raison de 2 ou 3 fois par année pour discuter et partager leurs missions et enjeux avec la Ville. Montreal-West Consultation Table. This table, chaired by the mayor, brings together local community organizations serving the Montreal-West area. Designated representatives meet 2 or 3 times a year to discuss and share their mission and challenges with the town. Comité sur la planification financière. Ce comité vise à réfléchir à la diversification des revenus, la fiscalité municipale et les stratégies pour augmenter la santé financière de Montréal-Ouest. Financial Planning Committee. This committee aims to consider revenue diversification, municipal taxation, and strategies to improve Montreal-West financial health. Comité sur la transition écologique et l'environnement. Ce comité vise à accompagner la ville dans son adaptation au changement climatique et à proposer la mise en place de mesures environnementales et des activités de sensibilisation de la population. Ecological Transition and Environment Committee. This committee aims to support the town in its adaptation to climate change and to propose the implementation of environmental measures and public awareness activities. Comité Municipalité Amis des aînés. Ce comité vise la mise à jour et la mise en œuvre de la politique Amis des aînés afin d'encourager la participation et le vieillissement actif des aînés au sein de la communauté. Il répond à l'engagement de faire de Montréal-Ouest une ville meilleure, plus sécuritaire et plus humaine pour les résidents de tous les âges. Age-Friendly Municipality Committee. This committee aims to update and implement the age-friendly policy to encourage the participation and active aging of seniors within the community. It fulfills the commitment to making Montreal-Ouest a better, safer, and more human town for residents of all ages. Comité sur la revitalisation de l'avenue Westminster. Ce comité vise à faire des propositions visant à bonifier l'offre commerciale, à mettre en valeur et à augmenter l'attractivité de l'avenue Westminster. Les propriétaires et commerçants s'ajouteront aux citoyens pour discuter d'initiatives d'animation, de projets d'embellissement, de leviers fiscaux et réglementaires pour renforcer le cœur de la ville. Westminster Avenue Revitalization Committee. This committee aims to develop proposals to enhance the commercial offerings, showcase the area, and increase the attractiveness of Westminster Avenue. Property owners and business owners will join citizens in discussing community events, beautification projects, and fiscal and regulatory measures to strengthen the art of the town. Lastly, finalement, comité sur la mobilité durable. Ce comité vise à recommander des mesures afin de favoriser la saine cohabitation de tous les modes de déplacement, piétons, vélos, véhicules, trains, et un système de transport efficace, sécuritaire, équitable et respectueux de l'environnement, incluant la signalisation, le stationnement et l'occupation du domaine public. Sustainable Mobility Committee. This committee aims to recommend measures to promote the harmonious coexistence of all modes of transportation, pedestrians, cyclists, vehicles, and trains, and an efficient, safe, equitable, and environmentally responsible transportation system, including signage, parking, and the use of public space. Donc, ceci conclut mon rapport du mois de février. This concludes my report for February. Now reporting from Seat 4, Councillor Philippe Bergeron.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Dear neighbors and residents of Montreal-West, on February 9th, the town hosted an information session to review the January 24th Hydro-Quebec power failure in combination with the extreme cold weather. The session was particularly animated by the attending residents. Many concerns and suggestions were brought to Council. We will review the actions taken to improve our future crisis management response. The Mayor and I met with the CPKC representative. We had a great conversation, and we hope to continue the ongoing communication regarding the level crossing on Westminster and the other two rail lines that cross our community. On February 16th, there was an incident regarding pedestrians being hit by an automobile on the corner of Ainsley and Westminster. 2 Royal West Academy students were injured. The town has added extra signage in the middle of the intersection in both directions for extra awareness. We will be meeting with our multiple partners in the coming weeks to discuss what can be done to make it safer. We believe that the pilot project for the reconfiguration work at the Westminster level crossing will increase safety for residents and pedestrians, in addition to ensuring compliance with Transport Canada. Again, the pilot project has gone to tender. We have actually received 2 bids. One was taken, and we will approve it tonight at Council. We hope to move forward with the work as quickly as possible. L'hiver n'est pas terminé. Il y a toujours possibilité d'autres chutes de neige. La ville rencontre des problèmes récurrents lors des opérations de déneigement et d'enlèvement de la neige, et nous apprécierons grandement la collaboration de nos citoyens. Après toute chute de neige importante, veuillez vérifier si des panneaux temporaires orange d'interdiction de stationnement ont été installés. Veuillez respecter ces panneaux afin d'éviter qu'un agent de sécurité publique ait à klaxonner et déranger vos voisins avant de devoir procéder au remorquage d'un véhicule stationné illégalement. Pendant une chute de neige, veuillez stationner dans votre entrée résidentielle si possible. Nous constatons souvent que des gens laissent leur entrée libre pour que leur entrepreneur puisse la déneiger. Les chasse-neige de la ville doivent alors repasser pour déneiger les bancs de neige laissés autour des voitures stationnées pour élargir la rue. Donc, repoussez la neige dans votre entrée, laissant votre entrepreneur à revenir faire son travail. Ceci éviterait le va-et-vient des chasse-neige de la ville et des entrepreneurs privés. Et dernièrement, Veuillez vous assurer que votre entrepreneur en déneigement détient un permis délivré par la Ville et qu'il respecte les règlements municipaux. Il est interdit de déposer la neige provenant d'une propriété privée sur la rue ou les trottoirs. La seule exception est entre les opérations de déblaiement et d'enlèvement de la neige, où il est toléré de placer la neige dans un banc de neige existant et non dans le milieu de la rue. Toute personne déposant de la neige dans le milieu de la rue ou après une opération d'enlèvement de la neige s'expose à des amendes. À propos des sports. Regarding the Sports and Recreation Department, the new rec center has opened multiple time slots for free skate. Please visit the town website for the new schedule. Skates and helmets are available to rent. Extra time slots for free skate and pickup hockey will be allocated for spring break. Times soon to be available on the website. Spring programming, including the pool registration, will be available in early to mid-March. More spots have been added to the kids' spring break camp, and the annual Cottontail Party is March 29th from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. All these activities can be purchased via the Amelia website. And I'm done.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bergeron. Now reporting from Seat 1, Councillor Lawrence Small Benefader.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Good evening and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue à tous et à tous. All residents and business owners should have received their tax accounts by now. First installments are due this week on February the 26th, with the second installment scheduled for May 27th. There will be no reminders sent for the second installment. Preference is to pay electronically. However, you can also pay by check. Town Hall will be open on Thursday and on February 27th, this Friday, from 8:30 to 1 o'clock if you would like to pay in person. Tous les résidents et propriétaires d'entreprises devraient avoir reçu leurs avis d'imposition à l'heure actuelle. Le premier versement est dû cette semaine, le 26 février. Le deuxième versement est prévu pour le 27 mai. Aucun rappel ne sera envoyé pour le deuxième versement. Le paiement électronique est préférable, mais vous pouvez également payer par chèque. La mairie sera ouverte jeudi le 27 février de 8h30 à 13h si vous souhaitez payer en personne. We are currently working on standardization of fee structures for organizations that would like to rent our facilities. This is an attempt to regularize and update the various agreements we have had over the course of many years. The town audit will take place next month and will be performed by Monsieur Daniel Tétrault, CPA. L'audit municipal aura lieu le mois prochain et sera réalisé par Monsieur Daniel Tétrault, CPA. Official bilingualism, bilinguisme officiel. Last week, TALK appeared before the Commission on Institutions at the National Assembly. TALK, formerly the Quebec Community Groups Network, QCGN, is a prominent advocacy organization representing the interests of English-speaking Quebecers. Rebranded in 2025, it focuses on promoting the rights of community needs and dialogue regarding language rights, education, and healthcare for Anglophone minorities in Quebec. Bill 1, the Quebec Constitution Act 2025, proposes a new foundational law for Quebec aimed at strengthening the province's autonomy by embedding state secularism and distinct integration model and civil law traditions. Bill 1 refers vaguely to English institutions in its preamble without defining the community or its citizens, an omission that risks confusion and neglect in practice. TALK clarified that while such recognition may be expressed publicly, it is not reflected in the legislation. C'est mon rapport pour ce soir. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can send me a request online. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small Benefader. Now reporting from Seat 2, Councillor Marta Slocum.
Hi, it's great to see all the people that have shown up. So I'm going to start with urban planning, just to note that PAC had an unusually high number of applications for February, so it seems like people are getting ready to improve their houses. We've hired an urban planning technician to alleviate some of the burden on our hardworking team. The next PAC meeting is March 25th, and the deadline to submit an application is 2 weeks before the meeting. Please make sure that your file is complete before you submit. It is incredibly helpful for PAC in making a decision. Communiquez avec le service de l'urbanisme afin de vérifier si les travaux que vous envisagez nécessitent un permis, une analyse par le CCU et une approbation du conseil municipal. You can go visit our urban planning section of the website for our bylaws. As has been mentioned before, the Council held an information session on February 9th regarding the power outage at the end of January. Nous sommes très reconnaissants envers les résidents qui ont pris le temps de se déplacer, de partager leurs expériences, leurs défis et leurs idées. We learned more about the roles of our partners, our community partners, such as the CLSC. We've had a good response to the call for volunteers for fruit harvesting in Montréal-Ouest in partnership with Les Fruits Défendus. This is an opportunity to reduce food waste. 1/3 of the fruit is going to be given to the volunteers, and 2/3 of the fruit collected will be donated to food banks or community organizations. No prior experience is necessary, and the deadline to volunteer is February 28th, and you can apply using the Contact Us form on the website. We've been busy creating links with the various groups around town, as has been noted. Nous avons rencontré le club Rotary et assisté à l'événement de reconnaissance des donateurs à la bibliothèque. Next month, we'll also be meeting with the Eva Marsden Center, which offers support and programming in our community. We're eager to get working to form our committees. The descriptions were outlined in the report of Mr. Mayor Jonathan Shaw. The descriptions will be published on our website and in the Informer. And in the meantime, I'd like to provide the terms of reference for these committees. Les termes de référence. Le conseil municipal met en place des comités pour bénéficier de l'apport des citoyens dans la mise en œuvre de sa planification stratégique. Les objectifs sont de contribuer à l'atteinte des priorités de la ville, de remplir un rôle conseil auprès du conseil, de discuter des enjeux et analyser les dossiers, de proposer des idées, des actions et des exemples, d'émettre des recommandations pour favoriser la prise de décision. La composition des comités. 8 à 10 personnes, incluant un élu qui préside le comité et un employé de la ville agissant comme observateur. Le quorum pour tenir les réunions est fixe à 5 personnes. Le mandat des membres est d'une durée de 2 ans, renouvelable une fois. La liste des membres sélectionnés de chaque comité sera adoptée par résolution publique et publiée sur le site web de la ville. So candidates who wish to apply, we're looking for people with knowledge, experience, expertise, or a strong interest in the field. We'd like them to have a collaborative spirit, good listening skills, and respect for others. People who want to volunteer for committee positions should submit a cover letter outlining their background and relevant experience. A resume is optional. Then, a selection committee comprised of members of the council and the director general will meet to elect committee members, and members will be covered by insurance during meetings. And then each committee will determine the frequency with which it will meet, ideally from 4 to 10 times per year. The meeting schedule will be made public, and the committee's recommendations will be made public. The elected official responsible for the committees will report on their progress at municipal council meetings. I'd just like to add that if anyone experiences any difficulties submitting their application or has any questions, they can reach out to me. The deadline to apply is March 27th, and you can also leave a paper copy at Town Hall if you prefer to my attention. Finally, I'm extremely pleased to announce our first discussion with the council event. This is an informal way to meet one-on-one with some council members to discuss issues and share ideas. And even better, it's going to be held at our new recreation center. Will be available to meet with residents at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, April 15th. Future meetings will be held at different times and on different days of the week, and we will also rotate the locations. Further details will be communicated as we get closer to the date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Slocum. Now reporting from seat 3, Councillor Nick Tassé.
Good evening, everyone. As we move through the heart of winter, a large part of activity has been centered on the practical, everyday services residents rely on, particularly those connected to public works. Over the past few weeks, we've received a noticeable number of complaints related to garbage collection. These include missed pickups as well as reports of damaged bins. These concerns have been communicated to administration and are being tracked so that recurring issues can be identified and addressed more consistently. I would also like to encourage residents to use the town's online service request form to report missed collections or damaged bins, as this helps ensure issues are logged accurately and followed up on efficiently. We've also received questions and reports regarding streetlights that appear to be burnt out. I'm currently awaiting further details on these reports so that they can be verified and followed up on appropriately. I expect to be able to provide more complete update on this in a future report. Winter operations continue to present challenges, particularly around the new recreation center. Snow clearing in that area has been more complex due to the site's configuration. It has also affected the movement of heavy equipment going to and from the Public Works building in the area, as well as the snow dump. These logistical constraints are being monitored closely to ensure operations remain safe and efficient. This time of year has also been marked by frequent temperature fluctuations. These freeze-thaw cycles require more frequent use of abrasives, often on a daily basis, as well as additional operations following repeated snowfall events. These same conditions contribute to faster road deterioration at this time of year. Recent warmer weather conditions have allowed for some asphalting work to be completed on potholes when the temperature permits. That said, I want to remind residents to remain cautious on the roads as the varying temperatures this time of year are increasing both the number and size of potholes. As of now, we have completed our 5th major snow clearing operation of the season, which aligns with what would be considered average for this time of year. I would like to also remind residents of the importance of respecting no parking signage during snow operations. Vehicles left on the street significantly slow down snow clearing and make it more difficult for crews to complete their work efficiently. On the economic development front, I met with a director from PME Montréal to discuss potential strategies aimed at strengthening the commercial sector in Montréal-Ouest. The objective is to move toward more direct engagement with local businesses. In the near future, we plan to begin visiting businesses together to hear directly from owners about their challenges, needs, and ideas. In addition, I have been in contact with the Directeur Général of PME Montréal for our area to discuss my involvement on their board of directors. This will allow for stronger alignment between regional economic initiatives and the specific realities of Montréal-Ouest. That being said, I invite everyone interested in joining the Westminster Revitalization Committee to reach out to me in person or via the town's website. I will continue to report back on these files as they progress and remain focused on ensuring that both operational concerns and long-term planning are addressed in a clear, transparent way. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Tassé. Now we're up to point 8, first public question period, donc première période de questions. Donc nous répondrons aux questions de la salle pendant un maximum de 25 minutes. Nous limiterons à 2 questions par personne, un court préambule, votre première question et au besoin une deuxième question. Ceci est une période de questions et non une période de débat. Après les questions de la salle, nous répondrons aux questions des résidents qui avaient été soumises en ligne jusqu'à 14h aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Les mêmes règles s'appliquent, 25 minutes au total et 2 questions maximum par personne. Lors de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives spécifiquement à l'ordre du jour soumises via notre site Internet lors de cette rencontre et nous limiterons à 10 minutes, donc depuis la salle et 10 minutes pour la version en ligne. So at our first question period, we will answer questions from the floor for a maximum of 25 minutes. We will limit it to 2 questions per person, a short preamble, your first question, and a follow-up question if you want. I remind you that this is a question period and not a debate period. After the question from the floor, we'll answer questions from residents that have been submitted online until 2 p.m. today on any topic. The same rules apply, 25 minutes total and 2 questions per person maximum. In the second question period, we will take questions pertaining to the agenda submitted via our website during this meeting. We'll limit it to 10 minutes from the floor and 10 minutes for online questions. So anyone who has a question, you can go to the mic. Yes, don't forget to say your name and your address, please.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Edna Milbrand de Paz. I'm the mother of Sophia Milbrand. My 13-year-old daughter got hit by a vehicle. She's one of the victims of that car accident. I'm coming here because I would like to understand what is the process and why it has taken so long for a more permanent solution to be placed at such intersection. I went online, and there is a community for transit safety, and I went on their website and I read a timeline which depicts a lot of people complaining about this intersection, about almost getting hit. My daughter herself, she told me 2 weeks before her accident that a vehicle almost hit her at that intersection. So my question is, what is the holdup with making this crossing safer, not just for the kids, but for the community in general? That's my first question.
Thank you very much. Philip, do you want to answer?
The holdup, in general, Westminster is dangerous. It's a problematic. There's a lot of volume of cars that go through Westminster and through our town. Westminster wasn't built for the volume of cars that we have. We've done studies. We're moving on for one of them, which is the railroad crossing, which will alleviate some of the pressure at that intersection. But it's an ongoing process, and we'll continue doing more of this, and we'll be more aggressive on how we're going to remedy these situations. Nobody wants, it's almost happened to me, not at that intersection. It's been more at a Northview in Westminster where I live, but it is a problem. I sympathize with you and your daughter. I apologize for that this has happened. I wouldn't want this to happen with my own child. I tell my children where to cross Westminster because there's definitely certain intersections that are more dangerous than others. But we are reviewing it. There are a safety committee in Montreal-West. They have done studies. They have done recommendations. And being a new counselor in this department, I will be bringing them up. More, for example, we're considering possibly raised crosswalks, more street markings, overhead lights, middle signage streets of the street, and so on and so forth. Why hasn't it been done in the past? I couldn't answer you. I wasn't elected. I wasn't there. But in the future, this is what we're going to be working on.
Okay. And what is the timeline for that?
So for the first part of the pilot project, we're hoping to have it done this summer. We just went to tender. 2 companies bid for it. We are allocating the contract to one of the companies tonight during council, and we're hoping that this will be implemented after the school year has ended. We don't think it would be wise to have this construction while the school season is still open.
Okay.
Because part of the Westminster will be closed.
Okay. So just to clarify, the solution that you are proposing is like the big flashlights that cars can see from very far away?
The current solution is on our website. It's more of the north. It's at the railway crossing, and it will influence anything from Milner all the way to Broughton, and it will alleviate some of the issues at Ainsley.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for answering my questions. And my family and I made the trip all the way from Pincourt to be here tonight because we think that is very important, and it's something that should be pushed to go faster. I don't wish that call that I received on anybody in this room or anybody in the community.
I absolutely agree.
And just to add to what Councillor Bergeron just said, we're continuing our discussion with the government of Quebec, with the SPVM. We all signed also the petition, to have a crossing guard. I mean, this is not a municipal matter, but I think that everyone has to take responsibility. So we hope that they will be open to that. Philip talked about the project for the compliance of the crossing, the solution that he also mentioned. These are kind of solutions that we could also implement this summer. So we're still evaluating what we can do as a municipality, but our goal is to act as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Hi there, Joanna Dewey, 232 Percival. So I'm speaking on behalf of the Safety Subcommittee of the Royal West Parent Participation Organization. I'll start by just thanking Mayor Cha for attending the Royal West Governing Board meeting last week. And thank you also for the 2 new stop signs. Our group certainly hopes to facilitate whatever we can do to help improve that intersection. We will do our best. I think you've heard tonight, and we've certainly heard, that parents are concerned about pedestrian safety at the Ainsley intersection. It's crossed over 400 times a day by Royal West students. And so the sheer number of kids crossing means that, statistically speaking, when someone gets hit, it's going to be a student. In October 2024, when the Sec 3 student was hit there, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the child who was hit actually had an imprint of his phone on his thigh when he got to the hospital, so we know that his phone was in his pocket, because we get online a lot of people saying the kids are all on their phones, they're not paying attention, which everybody is going to make mistakes, drivers and kids included, but I just wanted to put that out there so that people know that at least in that case, he was not looking at his phone. And from everything that I've heard, I don't think these 2 girls, I think what we've heard, these kids are doing everything right. They're crossing in the right place. Oftentimes they're making eye contact. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know everything, but we just feel like the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing what the school has told them to do, and yet they keep getting hit. So I think we're all on board with having a crossing guard at Ainsley, and that is something that we're trying to advocate heavily for. I don't know if you can answer this yet. I know you're all still new to your positions, but I just wonder, do you see a next single best step to improving this intersection? Or does it need a little more time for study and reflection, do you think?
Yes, we're looking at it more of a short term, and we're looking more at street marking because that's the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. A raised crosswalk will have to be, that's public works, we've got tenders, we'll have to demolish part of the street. Overhead light, that's an extra thing that could be done. Stop signs, we can make them bigger in the middle of the street, larger, more of them. It's just, those are easy fixes that we can possibly do immediately. Mm-hmm. The other things are more infrastructure, they'll take time.
Okay.
And when you say immediately, is after winter.
After winter,
Yes,
right.
Yes,
right.
yes. Because we usually don't do road work during winter, so it's got to be sometime in spring or early summer, depending on,
Right. And my second question is just, is there any possibility of getting the number of lanes at that intersection reduced from 4 to 2, do you think? Because that just comes up so often, like crossing 4 lanes of busy traffic with just a stop sign. We know there can't be a stoplight there, but is there any, I put it out there. If you can't give an answer tonight, I put it out there just as a question for reflection. We do think a lot of, we've had a lot of people say to us, and we think as well, that it's just that 4 lanes of traffic is pretty difficult to navigate.
I can't give you an answer yet. It will turn into a 1 lane at the rail crossing.
Right.
It does go back to 2 a little past Broughton. Mm-hmm. But for a certain period of time from Milner all the way to Broughton, it will be a 2 lane and not a 4 lane. That will probably be in the study part 2 that we'll be looking at. And it's not impossible, but I can't give you an answer yet.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
My pleasure.
Hi, I'm Karen Christensen, 8019 Avon. I had actually submitted questions asking about your intentions to put overhead lighting, like a pedestrian-activated light and raised crosswalk at the intersection. I think you've already addressed that. But what I would like to know now is all of these plans have to wait for basically construction weather. So what is the town going to do in the meantime to ensure the safety of our kids? I have seen on a couple of days that there's been more SPVM ticketing at the intersection to make sure the drivers are okay. But what does the town plan to do in the meantime? Because it's a good few months between now and construction weather.
In the meantime, no immediate change. We've asked the SPVM to do more controls, more patrols, and to give out tickets when there is an infraction. But at the present moment, we're very limited in our own public safety officers and what they can do and what they are doing. There's not much that we can do other than the things that I've just listed before.
Is there any possibility for public security to be in that intersection at the peak time?
Most likely no, because the public security officers are at to 2 other schools that are elementary schools, and we've got limited resources.
I'd just like to point out that there's been a lot of statements saying that these kids are 12 and 13 years old. My son, as well as many kids that have September birthdays, are actually starting at age 11. So these kids are 11 and 12 years old. They are children.
I absolutely agree with you, but the kids at Edinburgh and in Ballantyne, they're 6 to 11. So our priority is there, and there's a lot of bad behavior, especially at at Edinburgh, where I live. So there's a lot of drivers that actually drop off their kids, and that's why they're there. So it's to control the safety over there at that section.
But I think, just to add, you're right, and I think that we all need, I mean, as a town, as the mayor, as residents, as parents, we all need to convince the SPVM and the government of Quebec to change their criteria to have a crossing guard. You know, it's part of, right now, it's because it's under 12, and we can do nothing. They just won't put someone there because of this. But since there were 2 accidents now, I feel that the SPVM is listening a bit more. They're understanding that if there's one more accident, it shows that there's a daily risk and danger there. So I mean we're continuing our effort as well as many residents, but it's not that easy because this is not something that we can necessarily control, and then we unfortunately don't have enough staff to put someone there every day, morning and afternoon. So I think the first step is really to continue to put pressure on SPVM and in Quebec. And for us, I mean, we put 2 stop signs right in the middle. It's a start. It's not that much, but I think visually, I think the impact is quite there. And then this spring and summer, we'll implement changes in this area. So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jason Milbrandt. I'm the other frustrated parent of Sophia that got hit last week. I actually want to make a comment from the point of view of a driver. 4 days prior to this incident, I was actually driving my daughter to school, and I was crossing Westminster, and I almost hit a kid. And I think I was in the outer lane, and I came to a complete stop, and then went, and I don't even remember the details exactly, but that would have been on me, no doubt. But I also reflected a lot on that, and I thought I came to a stop. It's not that I did not know it was a stop. It never occurred to me until just a moment ago that the fact that it's 2 lanes each way has probably contributed, because I was in the outer lane. My point being, I really think that the overhead lights would have been a game changer for me in that case, and I'm sure that happens all the time. It's not that I didn't stop, it was that and I wasn't looking into the sun or anything. But if there had been a big, huge flashing light saying wait until the lights stop, then I would not have resumed. So I have no question, just a comment.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hannah Beatty. I live on Grand Boulevard in NDG, so I'm not a resident of Montréal-Ouest, but I am a parent of a new student at Royal West Academy, so my interest is now increased in this area, this neighborhood. So my first question is, I note that the corner of Westminster and Ainsley has a high concentration of places of interest with a park, a community center, as well as Royal West. I think there's also the curling club, and then there's this place, which, you could cross also at Ainsley. So obviously there's lots of reasons to be crossing Westminster. So I'm assuming this intersection is not just of interest to Royal West, but also to other people in the community. And although I support the request for a crossing guard, that would be great. That wouldn't actually solve the problem of parents crossing with their young children or elderly people wanting to go to the community center who would not be crossing at the time of the crossing guard. So my question is, and it's following up on Joanna's question about the 4 lanes, we know that when there's multiple lanes, getting across a road with multiple lanes with just a stop sign is very difficult. I think it would be different if there was an actual traffic light, because then, it would be red and the kids would cross when it's red for the cars, whereas it's just a stop sign. And as the gentleman just pointed out, he stopped and then he didn't see a kid and he started up again, and then actually there was probably a kid that was hidden by another vehicle. So I see, and thank you, Monsieur Bergeron, for having sent me the slides from last June, which I didn't know about, but I looked through. And I saw that there was the plan to make one lane each way between Sherbrooke and Broughton. So why not make it at least 1 lane all the way to Ainsley? Because then we significantly reduce the risk, of at that intersection and that whole area. So I think this really should be something, important, because let's be real, paint and flashing lights and a big stop sign. If the person stopped, the girls got hit, the person had stopped, but then left too soon and hit them. So, I'm not sure those things are really going to make a difference. And, you mentioned, well, let's see if there's a third case, but what if the third case is someone who's seriously injured or dies? We can't say, let's just wait and see if it happens again. It will happen again, and it would, it'll probably even happen again, even if we brought it down to 2 lanes, because accidents happen, right? But we need to do our best to try and, make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm just wondering your reflections on why not reduce it to 1 lane all the way down. Ideally, I realize people want to get to work. I realize people want to get fast and they're frustrated, but, I think everyone in the room doesn't want to lose their loved one because people want to get to work faster.
So with regards to your comment with the light, it's impossible to have a light there because it's too close to the railway. With regards to bringing it down to 1 lane, it will have to be reviewed with studies. We're already doing it for one intersection. Don't know what the studies will show. The experts in traffic will show us how to make it safety so that if we drop it down to 1 lane or 2 lanes, we'll see what it happens. We're open to the idea. We also don't want to have a bottleneck within the city where no one can leave. But safety is first. We want everybody to come home in one piece after their day's work or going to school. That's our priority. I just can't give you an answer of what's going to happen with 2 lanes or 1 lanes and if it does happen, where it's going to start or where it's going to end. Just not there yet, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. I have a second question, if I may. Montréal-Ouest, I don't know if you're aware, but they have a bike to school program to encourage kids who live, locally. And I live in NDG. There are people from Montréal-Ouest, Côte-Saint-Luc, NDG. And so Montréal-Ouest, obviously, being a good model citizen wants to encourage kids to use active transportation. And so while you're thinking about this reconfiguration of the whole area, well, we note that there's no more bike path once we get to Coffee Park. So between Coffee Park, over in NDG on the Elmhurst crossing, and then Royal-West, well, there's no bike kind of way. So my son and I came 3 or 4 times before the start of the year. We tried different routes, and then we found the safest one. But that would be really good for you to integrate maybe, even if it's not a dedicated bike lane, but at least maybe kind of a suggested route that would be best, because there's not really a great, way to do it. So he's kind of had to go down the sidewalk on his bike. Well, I told him he should walk, ideally, down to Ainsley because he was told he shouldn't cross at Broughton because it's too dangerous there. So, yeah, if you would consider that would be great.
We are considering bike paths to connect them at least from NDG to Lachine. Those are part of the one of my mandates. I was on the bike committee prior to being elected, so it is important for me you're right, there is not a single centimeter or meter of bike lane in Montreal-West. It is part of my mandate to get it done and at least put the signage on the street that this is a bike-friendly street. so that kids can bike or anybody can bike safely and and drivers be aware of what's happening on that street. But yes, it's part of our mission. My pleasure.
Bonsoir, je m'appelle Jessica Woodwhite-Chuck. Pour commencer, j'aimerais remercier tous les partenaires avec qui j'ai travaillé dans l'année et demie précédente sur ce projet-là de la sécurité de Westminster et les nouveaux partenaires et partenariats que je suis en train de créer avec vous autres pour le moment. Mais un commentaire à soir qui m'a vraiment frappé, c'est vous dites que ça a rapport avec la juridiction provinciale. Avec ça, je suis 100% avec vous, puis j'apprécie votre support de ce côté-là. Mais en même temps, M. Bergeron, vous venez juste de dire que la priorité, c'est pour les enfants de 6 à 10 aux 2 autres écoles. Puis d'ici au mois de mai, les parents ont besoin de quelque chose qui bouge maintenant. Fait que ma question, c'est est-ce que vous pourriez au moins prendre 2 minutes pour penser que peut-être en rotation, 1 journée sur 5, que votre sécurité publique soit dans notre coin et peut-être les 4 autres jours au primaire ou quelque chose du genre comme ça?
Ça serait quelque chose qu'il faudrait que je parle au département. Je ne suis pas dans les opérations, je suis dans la vision, donc c'est possible. Il faudrait que j'en parle avec la direction. Je peux pas vous garantir rien.
J'apprécie beaucoup parce qu'on vient juste de dire qu'on a votre support, que ça, c'est quelque chose au niveau provincial, qu'il y a une petite erreur dans le côté que la sécurité, c'est pour tous nos enfants. Fait que j'apprécie votre ouverture de regarder de ce domaine-là d'ici le mois de mai, là, avant qu'on puisse faire de quoi physique. Merci.
Bienvenue.
Merci beaucoup. Oh, okay.
Louise Chenevert at 61 Northview. Put my glasses on. I have some questions about the minutes from last January 26th. I noticed in the...
Sorry, Ms. Chenevert, can you speak a little louder? It was hard to understand what you're saying.
Okay. I looked at the minutes that are published on the website for the 26th of January meeting. Public question period. There's no questions listed here. They're all inquiries about. It's not a question, and no replies were given in the minutes. As far as I had the last council, I'm sure, I think there's replies to all the questions. You don't understand?
No.
Who writes the minutes? Who writes the minutes?
You're asking if answers are minuted to the questions raised in public?
They're not on here.
Yes, that's the question. Yes, yes.
They used to be, they're not now.
Okay, I don't understand.
Okay, I'll read it. Question 1, Elan Rose. Question 2, Michael Ellie. Question 3, Louise Chenevert. Okay? And it says, each person says his concerns are inquiries about. It's not a question. And there's no reply to any of the questions.
Okay. Questions in the minutes of the council are not considered as a really, minutes of the council are primarily about recording decisions. So the summary of the question period is not standardized. There are municipalities where the only thing that is mentioned about the question period is that it began at a certain time, ended at a certain time. In other municipalities, they will simply mention the names of the person who asked questions and nothing else. There have known municipalities where it is the questions and answer are reported verbatim at length, which you can understand is making the minutes very long. Here, the practice has been that it's only the questions that are reported in a summary. But as for the answers that are given and the follow-up, this is a matter of internal. After each council meeting, there is a summary of the question period, which is forwarded to members of the personnel, and in order, in particular, to follow up on certain matters that were raised. Not all questions require such a follow-up, but some do. So, to answer your questions, the answers are the answers. It's mostly the questions that are forwarded to the personnel in order to make the proper follow-up where appropriate.
Oh. What's written beside my name is inaccurate because I didn't say that. Okay, the two things that are written there, I didn't say that. So I started off with saying that the person before me was referring to the Hydro Central, and he said Hampton. So I corrected it and said it's a Hampstead. But here it says that I said it was Hampton. Incorrect. Then it goes on to say, I inquired about the possibility of town could be planning an information campaign in a few months to raise awareness about negative effects of fireplaces. I didn't say that. Okay, I don't know who did. I didn't. So, and the person before me didn't say what it said. He didn't say what is written here. So it's not very accurate, and if you're going to publish it, it should be accurate.
Well, thank you. Thank you for looking at that. We'll look into it and make modifications. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also in the minutes, Number 6, report of the mayor is written later. It says provided at the end of the present document, which I found. But the councillors' reports are not published. Why not?
It's just begun that the councillor reports is made public. Opposite in the same column of the minutes on the website. So they're not part of the minutes as such, but they are made available, started from last month.
Starting this month, the council's reports will also be on the website.
Started actually last month.
Okay.
And this month, yeah, okay. Starting this month.
Last Council Feeney was working on something. I don't know if it's active or she went, I don't know how far she went with it. She was going to create some kind of, not reference, what's the word? Directory of landlords and available apartments, a directory of some sort, so that seniors could stay in the community and don't have to leave. If these things were published and be more known, then people have access. So I don't know, she was talking about it, I don't know what happened to it, and I don't know if it's carried over onto this council.
I'm in contact with former Councillor Feeney, and I can certainly follow up with her on that issue.
Because there's a unit in my building that is available since November, so.
Well, it's something that the new committee, I'm sure, can look into.
No, just because it's always on Facebook or some other thing, and people aren't aware of all the different accesses to rentals, and they leave before they even post it. They're not all posted on Windows anymore, and they're gone, and people have to leave. So
I'll be sure to follow up with her.
Thank you very much. Last question. We're already at 30 minutes, so last person to ask question in person.
Try this. Mike Ely, 62, Ronald. Just following up from last meeting for Councillor Penfather, Small Penfather, I think presented the 3-year capital program. And I just wanted to go over a little bit about something that I think will be mentioned a little bit later. It's the $2.57 million over 3 years for the vehicles. With all respect to the blue collars, and I've asked a request for information from the clerk regarding our vehicle fleet. The blue collars deserve all the quality, comfort. I know our vehicle fleet is older, but we are a small town where we often say we can't afford all the services of a big town. But I feel that we seem to be buying vehicles to replace or add to a fleet as if we are a slightly bigger city. We're 2,000 dwellings, I think, maybe 5,000 people, not a ton of streets. And we're talking about $2.57 million over 3 years. It's $514 per person. Doesn't sound like a lot. $1,285 per household. That's a lot of money in 3 years for a whole set of vehicles that in 10 years will need to be replaced at even more money. My question, I guess, is can we please exercise financial restraint until a comprehensive study, not just age. So in my request, I got the fleet of vehicles, but I don't have odometer readings. I know when we bought it. I know that a lot of our vehicles are inactive, and that kind of feeds to my point. There's several vehicles that we're replacing that have been inactive for such a long time. Do we need a new vehicle? Currently on the list, I see 11 F-150s. 11 F-150s for a town of our size, and we're looking at buying more. I understand we need snowplows, street sweepers that are 20 years old. Absolutely. But can we buy fewer vehicles, more affordable vehicles? Taxes keep going up, people are stretched, and we're just asking, I think as taxpayers, can we have a comprehensive plan, not just about the age of the vehicle, but the condition, the need, and I think last time council mentioned it, there's a sort of cost of ownership that needs to be looked at. But just sharing that information, I think, would go a long way, because as a taxpayer, I see a brand new F-350 going by with one person in it, and that's a $100,000 vehicle, and it's a lot on us. So I guess that's my question. Can we be careful with this capital expenditure, or, as I see in the agenda, 3 more vehicles are being purchased? Is this a fait accompli for these next 3 years?
Let me go for that one. Yeah. Sorry, Mike. So my understanding, the vehicles in the PTI are absolutely necessary to operations. The list you received, when a vehicle's inactive, basically means it's out of service. It won't be going back in.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could speak to the necessary amount of vehicles, but I do know we're quite far behind on most of our vehicles. And there's been quite a few years where nothing has been spent on vehicles. And yeah, we're having a tough time keeping services up with the stuff we have on hand. So the ones you see in tonight's minutes, those are from the PTI, and that's already set in stone. That's a done deal.
Understood.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to tell you. These vehicles are all very expensive, and most of them are needed.
Yeah. Again, just my second question, I guess, is can the town, when they're buying these vehicles, instead of, I think, what is automatically, it seems, at the minimum a $63,000 truck, we have 2 fully loaded public security vehicles. We had a Ford Ranger. We still have a Ford Ranger. Do we need an F-150 Lightning? Do we need an F-350 with 2 people to pick up garbage from garbage cans? We're asking everybody for restraint where we can. Can we look at the next set of 2 years, the 2027, 2028 capital expenditure plan, and say, is this something that could be, it's necessary, 100%, but spread it over more years? Because they'll just all come due at the same time 15 years from now. It's 8 years. According to this, I think it's 8 to 10 years. It's a tiny town. 8 to 10 years old is not crazy if it hasn't driven that far. But I appreciate your feedback. I think I'm just trying to...
It's not necessarily focused just on mileage. I mean, they deteriorate pretty quick in the activities they do. But just to note that we do get them from the Centre d'Acquisition Gouvernementale, so it's not like we're overpaying for the vehicles. It's all standard, and it's bulked together so that we could save money on them. So I don't know if you had anything to add there, Lauren?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Kotase, and thank you for your question, Michael Ely. So we are definitely practicing fiscal restraint. These are expenditures that have been put off because of not having the requisite asset manager to make sure that it also involves a comprehensive maintenance plan and others. So when we were addressing a lot of things that were going on in the town, the vehicles were not getting on the list, and unfortunately they ended up ballooning this year because it got to a point where we couldn't band-aid it anymore. And if we want to ensure that we ensure the services for the town, we have to make sure that we have, and you know that some of the vehicles there were big vehicles that require like big price tags, which took up the majority of that budget. But yes, normally, hopefully you could rotate a fleet out, but because they were, if you go to Public Works, the parking there, you'll see a number of vehicles which we're unable to use. We have tried, servicing them or doing whatever we could to make sure that we were able to get a fleet that's reliable and dependable to be able to perform the work that's required for the town. So unfortunately, yes, this year ended up being a balloon because a number of those requests were put off for a number of years. But now we have somebody who's going to be taking care of that asset management for us, and hopefully we'll have a much more better plans in terms of maintenance and being able to, like I said, if we have to, if it's sunsetted out at some point, that we'll be able to do that.
Thank you, everybody, for your feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll go to online questions. There's about 20 of them. So the first question is from Mark Leberg, 61 Nelson Street.
Congratulations on the opening of the new arena. It looks great. Now we'd like to get back to normal parking regulations on our street, which is Nelson. We have been able to park on our street daytime for over 2 years. No, sorry, we have not been able to park on our street daytime for over 2 years. Yes, evening parking will be busy with arena attendance, but that's normal. We want to be able to park in front of our home during the day. The restrictions need to be removed. What is the delay? Bedbrook parking had been returned to normal regulations. Why is Nelson still restricted? So, Mr. Lieberg, part of Nelson will be returned to what it was before the construction of the new rec center. So anything between Westminster and Percival will be returned to the exact same way as it was. There's still going to be, unfortunately, a parking restriction between Percival and Bedbrook. Just because of the new configuration of Bedbrook, it limits the visibility of the street for the Public Works employees, and because of the increased traffic that's going to be going back and forth to the new rec center with pedestrians, kids, and bikes. We want to prevent accidents, so between 1670 Nelson, there will be a restriction of parking at all times, and also on Bedbrook between 190 and 182, also a restriction at all times, unfortunately.
Thank you. Second question from Farah Iza, 307 Promenade Ronald.
Yes. Could the city administration refrain from using its city hall balcony for any occasions other than having Canadian, provincial, and city Montreal-West flags attached to it? Yes, we do have our 3 flags there, and we do on occasion use the balcony, but if you could please be more specific with your question, which will enable us to give you a better answer. But in the interim, I'm not exactly sure what occasion you're referring to. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Question from Cynthia Kumas, 443 Westminster North.
Okay, question. What is the town's policy and protocol for dealing with residents who continually discard to the curb large items, such as mattresses, bureaus, and toilets, the day after garbage, where they sit for a whole week before being picked up? Is this a good image for the town? I find it a disgrace. I have emailed Public Works several times with my concerns and have never received a response. Cynthia, I do agree that these situations are unsightly. The town has established guidelines for collection of bulky items. Placing items outside of the regular pickup period is not permitted. Generally, bulky items need to be removed via special collection by calling Public Works. We are working to improve communications between residents and the department. Depending on the particular situation, enforcement could be brought from public security. Thank you.
Thank you. Next questions from Valmar Kurol, 63 Courtney Road.
Okay. Hi, Council. With all the recent emphasis on pedestrian safety, I noticed that just about all the crosswalk shadings on Westminster from Avon to and beyond Milner are currently erased and not identifiable for pedestrians and traffic. Would it be possible to have these repainted in the early spring and then as late in the fall as weather permits, so they might still be visible throughout the winter? Visual identification is very important for safety. I realize that the paint used now is not the most durable, but this can be overcome by more frequent or timely painting. Thank you. Thank you for raising your concern, Mr. Curl. Crosswalk visibility is an important safety issue. The town typically schedules repainting in the spring once the temperatures permit. I understand your idea of a second repainting later in the year. However, the paint late in the fall and winter is generally still in good condition, and the deterioration is mostly due to snow removal equipment and abrasives spread on the road throughout the winter. I've noted your concern and will be reviewed as part of an ongoing discussion about durability. I'd like to mention that there is some other products available on the market, and we will be exploring those options for certain areas.
Thank you. Prochaine question d'Isabelle Valois, 21 Avenue Rennie.
Hello, I would like to know if it is the responsibility of the city to remove a wasp nest from a tree that belongs to the city on the front of a residence. I completed a form on the Public Works site but did not get an answer. Thank you for helping on this matter. Long-time resident of Mo-West. Generally, the town assesses situations involving public trees on a case-by-case basis, particularly where there may be a safety concern, including wasp nests or damaged limbs. My understanding is wasps don't return to their nest year after year. If the nest is in fact abandoned, then it will likely be left in place. This will actually help to deter new wasps and other similar insects from settling in the area. So this could be a potential benefit and not a nuisance. If they do happen to return, please reach back out to the town and we'll reassess the situation in due course.
Thank you. Next question from Louis Suami, 316 Ballantyne North.
Are there plans to improve the poor conditions of our paved streets? Street conditions are assessed regularly as part of the town's asset management and capital planning process. Repairs, resurfacing, and full reconstruction projects are prioritized based on condition, underground infrastructure needs, and also available funding.
Next question from Richard Durian, 64 Rugby Place.
Will a no parking sign be installed on Rugby Street for a 2-hour window to allow for street cleaning during spring, summer and fall, as we approved by council last year? We pay taxes like everyone else and deserve to get the service like all residents. By the way, our municipal taxes are now $8,000, a large sum to get the services we pay for. Mrs. Durian, or Mr. Durian, I apologize. As per Councillor Small Pennyfather's previous response to you, the 2-hour parking sign for the street, yes, we will get it to you. We want your street to be cleaned. It was approved, and we're going to bring it up to town managers to have the sign put up. It will be put up in the spring. So that's our response for that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Janice Hamilton, 203 Ballantyne Avenue North.
It is rumored that the community center building will soon be closed. Is this true? If so, what plans are being made to accommodate the small classes and other activities that normally take place there? So the idea with building the new rec center was to centralize all of the activities in that building. We are still currently using the community center, but we're in the process of moving the programming and moving the staff to the new rec center. The level of programming is not going to diminish by any means, and so people can keep their eye out to see where their classes and activities are going to be taking place in the future. With regard to the community center building itself, we need to do a series of 3 studies. First, a heritage study. Secondly, would be a profitability study, and third would be a general health of the building to make sure that it's still in good shape to accommodate use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question from Michaela Etienne, Côte-Saint-Luc.
I am a resident of Côte-Saint-Luc. I drive daily on Westminster Avenue and daily face the concern of pedestrian safety as there are designated crosswalks at Broughton Road and Ainsley Road. I have witnessed too many near-misses collisions. When will the town of Montreal-West make comprehensive and permanent structural improvements or interventions to redress this matter? There was also Mrs. Andrea Letko at 156 Avenue Easton that asked, other than a crossing guard, what is a long-term solution for making Westminster intersection safer? Crossing guard is only during drop-off and pickup. What about the rest of the time when I am walking with my kids at 4 p.m. and during the summer? So I've answered a lot of these questions, but long-term is, well, the short-term is to get the pilot project applied and to installed. That's phase one. Phase two, we'll be looking at the overall of Westminster and to look at the as quickly as possible, the raised crosswalks, the street marking, the overhead lights, the middle of the street signage, anything that was already proposed by the safety committee at the previous council. We'll be looking at that document and we'll be trying to apply, but it is a problem from bottom to top. Westminster is a frequent driver boulevard. It wasn't meant for this kind of volume. It was built in the 1910s or 1900s, and now we have a lot more people crossing it. It is a priority for us.
Thank you. Next question from Glenn Cohen, 64 Stratton Avenue North.
I want to highlight some safety issues with another intersection in Mo-West. Can the town please improve safety at the Milner-Westminster intersection? My suggestions are put no left turn sign visible to cars traveling northbound. Cars seem to only notice the blocked lane pathway through the turn and turn anyway. 2, ensure drivers traveling east on Milner have a clear view on their left side. Presently, there are various signs, some construction signs, a dumpster, and the fabric posters on the fencing. All of these make it harder to see pedestrians crossing Milner from the north. I agree, it's a difficult corner right now. The permit to occupy the public space is coming up on February 28th for the building of the old RBC building. The developer has requested to extend the permit, but the new permit will have a lot higher standards, and our urban planner manager will be discussing this with the contractor to make any changes so that it's safer for pedestrians and travel by car.
Thank you. Prochaine question de Tagrid Ackles, 116 Easton.
I previously served on the Environmental Action Committee, where we discussed increasing biodiversity in Montreal-West. When thoughtfully designed, native pollinator gardens support declining pollinators, improve soil health, strengthen climate resilience, and connect green spaces into functioning ecological corridors. By replacing annuals with resilient native plants, the town can reduce recurring replanting costs while achieving lasting ecological and financial returns. Montreal-West has strong potential in existing beds along Westminster, areas of Davies Park, Triangle Park, and several boulevards. Would Council consider developing a strategic plan to introduce generous native pollinator gardens so our green spaces become true biodiversity assets? So the short answer is yes, the Council would absolutely consider it. As you know, it's something that's very important to me. I believe that the EAC has conducted some studies, maybe has some plans, and so this is something for the new Environment Committee to consider.
Thank you very much. Next question from Arvin Ramanathan, 116 Easton.
My question is about tree planting. Some trees planted last summer in Triangle Park and along Easton did not survive. Can Council explain why this happened and what will be done to prevent this in the future? Also, will the town be replacing the trees that didn't survive? Thank you. So some of the trees that were transplanted last year were vulnerable, or they were vulnerable because it was their first year of planting. And some do seem to be, in bad shape. But there is a chance that they will do better in the spring and they'll come back. And that's what we're hoping for. But the ones that are dead will be replaced in time. It's all being monitored, and I also just want to note that we're doing a spring tree planting campaign and focusing on Indigenous trees.
Thank you again, Martha. Next question from Paul Kelton, 70 Brock North.
Okay, we have two questions here. Residents have long been wanting to have the annual infrastructure priority list published. In the interest of transparency, will this council release the list? If not, please explain why. I just want to state that council fully supports transparency while also respecting technical and regulatory constraints. Infrastructure priority lists are developed by professionals using established criteria and are subject to provincial funding rules. That being said, the latest data received on the condition of our infrastructure was late in 2025. Therefore, a new plan is being put in place, and we'll have that in the near future. It's important to note that even when we have these established priorities, there's still a lot of variables that can cause the importance of the projects to change. The second question was, the previous council stated at one time the provincial government agrees with whatever choices the town makes for ranking. Am I reading the right thing here? Sorry, guys. I got lost though. Subject to guidelines related to the condition of the underground pipes, they also indicated that lead in the pipes would be a factor in determining priority. Is it true that we have so much control, and has the government ever rejected a list? Agglomeration engineers come up with the infrastructure priority list based on information we give them, along with additional studies that they complete on their own. These must all respect industry standards, and we must then respect certain criteria in terms of obtaining the financing for the projects. Whenever different sectors are considered of equal priority, then the town has the decision on its own to which ones take priority, whether it's school zones, lead pipes, project cost, or any other number of needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Laura Vaughan, 333 Westminster North.
I'm going to write the mayor with our parking complaints and ticketing, especially on Westminster. However, I wouldn't mind highlighting a couple of questions for you now. One, how come on snow removal days we cannot park on one side of the street and signs are up for no parking on the other side? So therefore, we have nowhere to park. Usually plowing was done on the side we usually can't park on. Two, why does Westminster North not have same parking restrictions as other streets in Mo-West? Why do we have to move our car every single day? So I got this answer from our PSO manager. Snow removal operations on Westminster between Northview and Curzon are generally carried out on the side where parking is prohibited, on the days indicated by the signage. Normally, residents only need to respect the alternating parking existing signage. But at least once this winter, Public Works had to make an exception and switch sides. This occurred when the snowblower experienced mechanical problem, which is exceptional and not the norm. With regards to question number 2, alternating parking on Westminster has been in place since at least the 1990s. I don't have the background surrounding the initial decision. Any change to the frequency would require the approval of the Public Works Department. A once-a-week restriction might possibly be sufficient outside of winter to allow for street sweeping, but maintaining the current restriction during the winter allows Public Works to widen the roadway by pushing snow to the side as much as possible when the street is clear of vehicles. Westminster is our boulevard, and we already know there's a lot of volume. This eliminates the problematic snowdrifts, snow cocoons between parked cars that are seen in other municipalities during a winter on high-density streets, which such restrictions do not exist. Residents can then use both sides of the streets after 4 p.m. on weekdays and weekends. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one from Stephen Moe, 31 Ainsley Road.
Okay, I'm also going to loop this one with Eric Reeder from 21 Fenwick. Is there any possibility of repairing Ainsley Road between Westminster South and Campbell Avenue, even if only one block at a time, so as to pave it anew, while also replacing the underlying water and sewage mains wherever needed? Is there any chance of getting Royal West Academy, a heavy user of these blocks, to pitch in? Eric's question, are there plans to fill the numerous deep potholes on Ainsley? It's becoming a rural dirt road, and swerving to avoid the holes and damage to one's car creates a dangerous condition for pedestrians and drivers alike. Thank you. So I'm just going to say I've been on Ainsley, and yeah, it's in particularly bad shape. But just to say that major road reconstructions generally depend on condition of underground services and available funding for those. They must follow municipal and legal framework. The corridor remains under review for our upcoming infrastructure priority list and will be addressed in order of priority. Any temporary repairs are currently weather dependent, and we've already started filling some potholes. We'll see what we can do on that front. And sorry. The town bases its projects around active provincial grants and available funds. It's not the responsibility of a school board to provide financing for municipal roads, so I don't think it's likely we'll get any funding from Royal-West Academy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one from Stan Carney, Wolseley Avenue North.
If any council member ever worked in an office environment, how would you have felt staring at a bare wall all day? Can this council show better management and people skills by at least providing for a better work environment for the two wonderful ladies who greet us behind the glass partition? Such a Spartan workspace is really unacceptable. A few paintings, prints, or pictures would certainly improve their workspace. A few pictures, prints, paintings would make it less painful paying taxes and surely better the work environment for two hardworking ladies. So that's one part of the question, and the second part is with regards to our flag arrangements. So the first part of your question, I'm happy to share with our administration if there's a desire to put some artwork up in the office. It's definitely something that the administration can definitely address with our employees who work in the front office. So thank you for your suggestion. And the flag placement, as you see behind me, left to right is the provincial flag of Quebec. The center flag is the national flag of Canada, and the last flag is the municipal flag for the town of Montreal-Ouest. They are currently in the correct order, as well as the ones that are outside of the building. And there's just a sizing issue that we have to deal with. We have to just make sure that all the sizes of the flags are the same, and currently I think there is one flag that might be slightly larger than the others, and that will be addressed. Thank you for your question. I'm just going to make a statement here that you posed an additional question that comes later on, but it's about the flag, so I've addressed it now, and I will not be addressing it in the part of the later part of the list. Thank you.
Thank you. Prochaine question d'Andréane Labbé, 19 Chemin Garden.
Bonjour, pardon si la question a été déposée lors de la dernière séance. Considérant le pourcentage élevé des taxes foncières que nous payons à Montréal-Ouest, la Ville serait-il ouverte à envisager des paiements échelonnés sur 3 ou même 4 versements, comme cela se fait dans les autres municipalités? Merci. Donc, merci beaucoup, Madame Labbé, pour votre question, parce qu'on est obligé à payer notre quart-part à la Ville de Montréal. On a des échéanciers à respecter, c'est pour ça que c'est dans 2 versements. C'est 4 millions de dollars qu'on devrait payer la Ville de Montréal, donc pour notre quart-part. Donc, c'est important qu'on respecte ces délais. Par contre, on n'est pas fermé de regarder, on est ouvert de regarder si on pourrait regarder 3 versements pour la Ville de Montréal-Ouest, mais ça serait pour la prochaine année fiscale. Mais merci beaucoup pour votre question.
Question de la même personne. Rebonjour. Toujours par rapport aux taxes foncières en 2026, nous constatons une augmentation de 9,8 % des dépenses de l'agglomération dans le budget de la Ville de Montréal. Je sais qu'il y a déjà eu des démarches par le passé pour tenter de réduire notre quote-part à titre de ville défusionnée. Comptez-vous reprendre des démarches similaires? Oui. Donc, la réponse qu'il faut mentionner ici, c'est que l'Association des municipalités de banlieue poursuit en fait ses représentations et son travail auprès de la mairesse de Montréal et de la ville de Montréal pour adresser donc les questions de quote-part. Il y a un comité, donc la ville, avec une nouvelle administration municipale, la ville est en train de restructurer notamment ces comités sur lesquels nous siégerons. Donc, on va avoir des discussions plus actives, mais sachez que les discussions continuent entre les élus des 15 villes liées et la ville de Montréal. Il y a quand même beaucoup d'écoute et de compréhension de la nouvelle administration de la ville de Montréal, donc c'est très positif, mais c'est un dossier évidemment immensément complexe. Il faut travailler à la fois avec la ville de Montréal et le gouvernement du Québec. Mais la réponse est assurément oui. Montréal-Ouest poursuit les démarches avec les autres villes liées à ce sujet. Anna aussi, ça a été répondu. La semaine? Oh, OK, parfait. Donc, ceci conclut notre période de questions en ligne. Poursuivons donc avec l'ordre du jour, le point 9, Contracts and Town Clerk's Office. Et Earth Hour 2026.
Whereas the Earth Hour is a yearly international event sponsored by the World Wildlife Fund. Whereas this event is intended to increase public awareness of the importance of saving energy to fight climate change. I move that the Town of Montreal-West agree to turn off all non-essential lighting for 1 hour on Saturday, March 28th, 2026, starting at 8:30 p.m. 2, that all residents of Montreal-West be encouraged to join this event in the same way. 3, that the Town of Montreal-West invite all Montreal Island municipalities to take part in the Earth Hour 2026.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Yes.
Oui.
B. Mandat à l'Union des municipalités du Québec, UMQ, regroupement d'assurance pour la protection des élus et hauts fonctionnaires et de la responsabilité pénale en matière de santé et sécurité au travail.
Attendez que, conformément à l'article 29.9.1 de la loi sur les cités et villes, la Ville de Montréal-Ouest peut participer à un regroupement d'assurance avec UMQ. Attendez que la Ville désire se rejoindre au regroupement d'assurance en commun de l'UMQ à titre de municipalité participante pour l'acquisition d'assurance protection de la réputation des élus et autres fonctionnaires contre la diffamation, le harcèlement et les propos haineux et d'assurance pour les responsabilités pénales et matière de santé et sécurité au travail. Attendu que la période visée par le contrat d'assurance issu de regroupement d'assurance est le 31 mars 2026 au 30 mars 2031. Attendez que le UMQ agit de titre mandataire de regroupement d'assurance, notamment pour la préparation de la documentation, la procédure de publication d'avis d'intention d'octroi de contrat d'assurance et son renouvellement de cas échéant. Attendu que la Ville, à titre de municipalité participante au regroupement d'assurance, s'engage à effectuer l'achat de ces assurances auprès de soumissionnaires retenus conformément aux lois applicables et fournir des renseignements requis à cette fin. Attendu que la protection et conditions afférentes aux assurances seront prévues dans les polices d'assurance ou certificats émis au nom de chaque municipalité participante. Attendu que la Ville demeure responsable du paiement de ses primes et des frais, notamment les frais d'administration application en faveur de l'UMQ. Attendu que bien que l'UMQ, en tant d'adjudicateur, prenne les précautions raisonnables à l'égard des présentes, chaque partie membre de regroupement s'engage à régler elle-même tous les litiges qui pourraient survenir suite à l'occasion des présentes, y compris celui entre elle et l'assuré de la couturier de ce dernier. Attendu que, sous réserve des dispositions légales applicables, une municipalité peut adhérer unilatéralement de regroupement sans retirer ou être expulsée selon les modalités établies par les regroupements d'assurance. En conséquence, je propose 1. Que la Ville convienne de rejoindre le regroupement d'assurance de l'UMQ à titre de municipalité participante en vue de l'octroi d'un contrat d'assurance pour la protection de la réputation des élus et autres fonctionnaires contre la diffamation, le harcèlement, les propos haineux et d'assurance responsabilité pénale en matière de santé et sécurité pour la période de 31 mars 2026 au 30 mars 2031. 2. Que la Ville mandate UMQ pour agir à titre de mandataire de regroupement d'assurance, notamment afin de préparer et de procéder à la publication d'un avis d'intention à l'octroi d'un contrat assurance et de son administration, donc son renouvellement. 3. Que la maire et le greffier soient autorisés à signer pour et au nom de la municipalité tout document, tout formulaire, tout contrat et tout autre document requis en lien avec le regroupement d'assurance pour donner plein effet à la présente résolution.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
OK, merci, Lauren. You want to repeat? No? Point 10, Administration and Finance. A, approval of disbursement, January 24 to February 20, 2026.
This luckily is a short one. That the list of accounts payable from January 2024 to February 20th, 2026, totaling $1.3,964,097, and payroll in the amount of $255,903.52, period 51 to 3, be approved and paid.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Merci. B, delegation of powers for the month of February 2026.
I move to approve the report of the Director General concerning the exercise of powers delegated under bylaw number 2005-002 for the month of February 2026.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
We,
Yes.
C, grants 2026.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the town of Montreal-West award the following grants for the year 2026. Montreal-West Children's Library, $91,000. Montreal-West Public Library, $110,829, including the town's contribution to payment of Montreal-West Public Library rent of $53,528.78. The Informer of $27,000. Community Service Council, $5,000. And lastly, Dr. Robert Drummond, the Roots and Remembrance work that he does, $250.
I second.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Yes.
Oui.
Merci. D, demande d'aide financière, taxe d'assises sur l'essence.
Attendu que la Ville a pris connaissance du guide relatif aux modalités de versement de la contribution gouvernementale dans le cadre du programme de transfert pour les infrastructures d'eau et collectives du Québec, le TECQ, pour les années 2024 à 2028, attendu que la Ville doit respecter les modalités de ce guide qui s'applique à elle pour recevoir la contribution gouvernementale qui lui a été confirmée dans une lettre de la ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation. En conséquence, je propose 1. Que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest s'engage à respecter les modalités applicables du guide mentionné au préambule. 2. Que la Ville convient d'être seule responsable et à dégager le gouvernement du Canada et le gouvernement du Québec, de même que leurs ministres, hauts fonctionnaires, employés et mandataires de toute responsabilité quant aux réclamations, aux exigences, aux pertes, aux dommages et aux coûts de toutes sortes ayant comme fondement une blessure infligée à une personne, le décès de celle-ci, des dommages causés à des biens ou à la perte de biens attribuables à un acte délibéré ou négligent découlant directement ou indirectement des investissements réalisés au moyen de l'aide financière obtenue dans le cadre du programme TECQ 2024 à 2028. 3. Que la Ville approuve le contenu et autorise l'envoi au ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation de la programmation de travaux jointe à la présente résolution. Dossier 1266047, version numéro 1. Et de tous les autres documents exigés par le ministre en vue de recevoir la contribution gouvernementale qui lui a été confirmée dans une lettre de la ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation. 4. Que la Ville s'engage à déposer annuellement une mise à jour de sa programmation de travaux durant la période du 1er octobre au 15 février inclusivement. 5. Que la Ville s'engage à réaliser les investissements autonomes qui lui sont imposés pour l'ensemble des 5 années du programme. 6. Que la Ville s'engage à informer le ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation de toute modification qui sera apportée à la programmation des travaux approuvés par la présente résolution.
Je l'appuie, merci.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Oui.
OK, merci beaucoup, Nick. Point 11, Urban Department. A, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program.
I move 1. To acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee on February 18th, 2026. 2. To approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 2. Rennie, replacement of 6 windows. 12. Campbell, replacement of 3 windows and the front door. 458 Brock North, replacement of 2 windows. 223 Strather North, condemning a rear door and replacement of a side window by a new patio door. 2 Bryn Mawr, replacement of a door. 64 Strather North, replacement of 9 windows. 3. To approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 2628 Westminster North, installation of commercial signs. 74 Wolseley North, renovation of the ground floor rear extension with modifications to openings and replacement of a side window. 63 to 65 Northview, replacement of front and rear masonry walls and windowsills. And 4, to refuse the following plans in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 128 Strather North, 2-story extension on the side of the house. And 5, to defer the examination of the following plans as requested by the permit applicant at 251 Percival, reconstruction of the front porch, front stairs, and railings.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Oui.
Okay, thank you very much. Point 12, Public Works. A, awarding of contract, transitional road layout work at the level crossing.
I move, Mr. Mayor, whereas the town of Montreal-West issued a public call for tenders for the purpose of awarding a contract for transitional road layout work at the level crossing at Westminster and Sherbrooke. Whereas 4 tender documents were ordered by contractors, whereas 2 bids were received and evaluated, whereas the engineer firm WSP analyzed the tenders, evaluated their conformity, and recommended the contract be awarded to the lowest conforming bidder. Whereas it is advisable to carry out this work for the purpose of increasing traffic and pedestrian safety on the main street of Montreal-West. Therefore, I apologize, this is where I say I move. I move that the contract for transitional road layout work at the level crossing be awarded to the lowest conforming bidder, Unirock Construction, Inc., based on a price of $78,250.20, excluding taxes. 2, that this expense be charged to the unallocated surplus. 3, that the mayor and the town clerk be authorized to sign any contract and other documents required to implement this resolution as the case may be.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
B, contrat de fourniture, 3 véhicules.
Attendu que l'achat de 3 véhicules légers pour le service des travaux publics a été prévu pour 2026, conformément au programme triennal d'immobilisation adopté en décembre 2025, attendu que ce contrat peut être octroyé à la suite d'un appel d'offres réalisé par l'entremise du service d'achat du gouvernement du Québec, conformément à l'article 573.3.2 de la loi sur les cités et villes. En conséquence, je propose que 1. L'achat des véhicules suivants, année 2025, sous les numéros de bons de commande 711461, 11462 et 11463 soient approuvés et traités par le Centre d'acquisition gouvernementale conformément aux dispositions de l'appel d'offres 2025-8106-50-01, taxe en su, Ford F-150 XL Super Crew pour un prix de 55 988 DGA 475, Ford F-250 pour un prix de 58 085 DGA 435, Ford e-Transit pour un prix de 70 591 DGA 296. 2. Que le directeur adjoint des travaux publics, M. Alan Idle, soit autorisé à signer les documents nécessaires à la commande, à la livraison et à l'enregistrement. Et 3. Que cette dépense soit imputée au fonds de roulement.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Aye.
Thank you. Point 13, Human Resource. A, nomination permanente, opérateur d'appareils motorisés A.
Je propose que l'employé numéro 994 soit nommé opérateur d'appareils motorisés A, classe 12, à titre permanent au service des loisirs et de la culture à compter du 2 mars 2026.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Oui.
B, amendment to resolution number 20250929019 2026 conference managers.
Whereas Council, by virtue of Resolution 202509229-019, authorized town managers to attend conferences for the purposes of professional development. Therefore, I move that the Council authorize the Treasurer to attend the Congress of the Corporation des Officiers Municipaux Agréés de Québec in Trois-Rivières from May 20th to May 22nd, 2026.
I second the motion.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
14, appointments, designation of pro-mayor.
Let's be. Okay. I move that one Councillor Lauren Small Pennefather be appointed pro-mayor for the months of April, May, June, and July 2026. 2, that Councillor Lauren Small Pennefather be designated to replace Mayor Jonathan Cha on the Agglomeration Council as necessary, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded, if needed, to the Agglomeration Council. 3, that this appointment take effect on April 1st, 2026.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Yes.
B, Pension Plan Committee.
I move to appoint the following people as representatives of the employer on the Pension Plan Committee of the Employees Pension Plan for the Town of Montreal-West. Councillor Lauren Small Pennefather, Maître Raphael Destasio, Director General, Ms. Valentina Maria Todoran, Treasurer, Maître Claude Gilbert, Town Clerk. 2, to repeal Resolution 2023-1002-014.
I second it.
Tous en faveur, all in favor?
Oui.
Yes.
Okay, 15, deposit of documents. No item under this point. 16, notice of motion, reading and adoption of bylaws. A, avis de motion et dépôt d'un projet de règlement pour un règlement amendant le règlement de circulation numéro 405. Donc, une présentation, avis de motion de la présentation à une prochaine séance du conseil. B, notice of motion and deposit of draft bylaw for bylaw amending bylaw number 2020-007, consolidating the bylaw concerning employees' pension plan for the town of Montreal-Ouest. The said bylaw in draft version was tabled with council and made available to the public. 17, second public question period. Do we have any questions in the room? Des questions dans la salle? No. Do we have any questions online? No questions online. Donc, nous sommes rendus au point 18, levée de la séance, à 21h48.
Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Je l'appuie.
Tous en faveur, en favor?
Oui.
Merci beaucoup. Bonne soirée. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.